Welcome to today's episode of Be Your Purpose, where we explore your soul's journey so you can be seen, heard, and valued for what you do. I'm your host, Claire Chancellor, and today we talk to the beautiful myotherapist, Erinn Weeding. Now, if you're a wellness professional looking to move from one-on-one coaching or one-on-one clients to a group setting, then today's coaching session is one to listen in for. Erinn is at that transition in her business where she is moving from one-on-one patients to the group setting, and she has an incredible message to share. Erinn has a strong focus on teaching people how to listen to their bodies, how to take notice of the pain, and what you can do within your mindset and your body to be able to shift that pain to live the life that you want. So, throughout today's coaching session, I take her through a bit of a values elicitation and other conversational belief change to help her get the aha on what she needs to do in order to step into that group setting. Now, this is quite fun to watch as those moments are just, you see it on her face, like, wow, okay. Because really, the one-on-one strategy to build up her business, to be dedicated, the perfectionism and everything that goes into those sessions is incredibly special, and her clients reap the rewards for that. However, that strategy is going to be the burnout, the recipe for burnout in a group coaching center. So the whole mindset and strategy has to change. And that's exactly what we explore today. So let's get started. Explore what you can do to move from that one-on-one setting into that groups. Let's get started. Welcome, everybody. Today we are talking to the most talented myotherapist, Erinn. Here we are today, Erinn. And today we're going to talk about all things health, healing, the message of the body. And yeah, incredibly excited to have this conversation because I've been hinting for you and I to jump on a recorded session for some time, right, Erinn?
Yeah, it's been a while.
You know, when you meet somebody and they share the same kind of passion, the same kind of insights, it's like, yes, the magic happens. Let's talk. Let's go straight in the deep end. So I'm curious from you, Erinn, when you think about talking about health, healing, the way our bodies communicate to us, what gets you excited about that conversation?
I think our bodies are these amazing things, and they are always telling us what's going on. We couldn't re-engineer our bodies and the amazing things it does. So I think our body is always telling us. It's just whether we can listen or not, and being able to discuss that just gets me excited.
Yeah, so I imagine being a myotherapist, you must be seeing a lot of repeating patterns playing out in your clients with recurring injuries or starting to pick out their mindset on what's causing the recurring injuries. Like, tell us about some of the patterns that you're noticing with your clients.
It often comes down to what's happening in the world can often translate to what's happening in my clinic room. Additional stresses, all that sort of thing, often will translate to upper back pain, like mid thoracic pain, neck and shoulders, really quite common. And then, yeah, depending on, as I said, what's happening in the world will often translate. So, lower back pain has a whole different profile. There's
Yeah.
definitely themes depending on what's happening.
Yeah. So you're noticing like a theme in the outside world with their family life or what's happening on the news or like how or
Sometimes a combination, family life, external stresses, cost of living, all of that sort of stuff. Um, what's kind of around in the media, that all kind of has an effect on what's seen in our clinic rooms, and the conversations that we have obviously then change.
yeah, right. So then I'm curious, what drew you to become a myotherapist?
Accidental. I think biology is interesting. I actually was drawn to nutrition, fell into myotherapy, and have just loved that interaction, the unfiltered conversations, understanding people's bodies, understanding that link between their bodies and what's happening with them emotionally quite recently. Like it's that whole plethora.
Yeah, yeah. And so does the nutrition side of things come into your sessions?
It definitely does. There's a really strong link between our gut health and so many other different types of health. That link is pretty solid. But it also has an effect on the healing journey, coming in and out, post myo, pre myo. Though what we eat and what we put in our bodies is so important. So it definitely is a conversation. It's probably not as prominent as people would think, though.
Yeah. Well, when they come to you, they get the best of both worlds then.
Yes.
So recently we have been on what feels like about a 6 month journey learning NLP, coaching, hypnotherapy, and yeah, the classroom and learning all about how our minds and the beliefs and the conscious, the unconscious, how all of this impacts the body. I'm curious, what did you enjoy about NLP?
All of it, obviously. I loved the questioning and understanding, loosening people's model of the world and understanding their headspace and understanding that it's learning to meet people where they're at, but also for them to meet me where I'm at. And I think that was a really important part. But the questioning and how we interact with people is probably the biggest thing I've taken out of it.
Yeah, I would agree. NLP, for listeners who are unfamiliar with NLP, neuro linguistic programming, it is about how you communicate to yourself to then get the results on the outside world. And that's what I witnessed with you, Erin, was in the training room, you had a natural skill at people at ease. You held the space for that non-judgmental, let's have an open mind about the infinite potential with lots of different solutions. So that's what I observed with you in the training room was, it's not just myotherapy is the solution. It's not just nutrition that's the solution. And even in NLP, it's not just the mindset. It was like, how do we combine all of these juicy, yummy things to get the best out of people's health, right?
100%. That in itself encapsulates what excites me. I think if I think gone are probably the period where we could just look at myotherapy or just look at nutrition or just look at mindset. I think as a whole we need to assess that person and treat a person. And if we can't do it, like using our other like practitioners around us, I think is amazing.
Yeah, so it's a holistic, literal holistic approach, right?
Yeah,
I
I think
know
it,
for my own experience with my clients that the body obviously is always speaking to us. That, I always give that quick example. If you're having a reoccurring sore throat, there's something here within the beliefs about not safe to speak your truth or that you're suppressing what you want to say, that the body is telling you that there's a level of fear that's holding you back, restricting your energy, creating stress. And if you listen to that and take notice, then it's like, okay, what can we do to support the body to have that safety versus letting that build from the sore throat into the migraines, into the back pain, into the I have no idea where else that can take you. But I imagine you see similar with that, Erin.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's amazing since I started NLP, learning to understand, and I think naturally I was doing it, but putting into words what people's bodies are telling me without their words telling me that. And it's just the most fantastic thing. And because I now have NLP behind me, it's that questioning of, I've noticed this is tight, like what's kind of going on? And that conversation just naturally flows. But yeah, it makes so much sense. People are like, oh, of course that makes sense.
Yeah, so and that's one of the skills that you've got is to simplify it so that your audience, your clients understand it, where they're coming from. They've got their own journey. You can speak to that language. Obviously, my clients are on a different lane or different path, no better, no worse, but their model of the world is going to be different. So, because you do have a strong focus, right, with the sports performance and that side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I work more clinically now, but yeah, absolutely still have that strong sports focus. It's a passion of mine away from work anyway. So it's hard not to love it at work.
Yeah, that makes sense. Which, to anybody listening, it tells us a lot about Erinn and her performance and her drive, and the correlations are going to be quite quite similar. Tell me, Erinn, what do you, sorry, start again. What's important to you about serving your one-on-one clients?
Um, I think there's nothing more frustrating when people are like, I'm living in pain and have been for years. And they come in here, and whether it's through conversation or through myotherapy or through a few lifestyle changes, that pain that they've been living with for years is like gone within weeks or sometimes months, but it's gone short. Like we completely get rid of it. And that just excites me. And I just, yeah, it's really lovely to hear people so grateful. And you're like, but that was a really easy fix. Um, yeah.
What do you think makes it so easy? Because the pain side of things is huge industry, a huge frustration. People put themselves through pain to get rid of pain. So talk to me about the message of pain in your line of work, Erinn.
I think it's an incredibly complex issue, and I don't think it's a one size fits all. I think it looks different person to person. But it's just about having the right treatment and learning that your body is telling you something. It's just learning what your body is telling you and stopping to be able to listen to it or have somebody listen to it for you.
Yeah, yeah. Be the translator.
Yeah.
I know from my own experience with pain, obviously with clients in pain, there's a level of powerlessness, there's a level of either frustration, stress, anger. There is an emotion that sits there sort of simmering where obviously there's going to be difference. You do an injury, you fall off your motorbike, there's pain, the body's supposed to have pain, but when you get to that 6 to 8 week mark and the pain is still there, there's a whole lot of emotional stuff that's really sounding that alarm. You want to elaborate on, what is that chronic pain, the messages that you've seen in your clients?
I think it can vary. I think chronic pain, as I said, can be incredibly complex and challenging, but there is so often a emotional or trauma or um, yeah, probably emotional traumatic link to that pain, particularly long term. And I think if you discuss that emotional side, and sometimes people will stop you discussing that emotional side because that then has to admit that level of pain for them. And then they pull back on it. And then, so that chronic pain, they're just stuck in that cycle because they're not willing to do the emotional work for better or for worse.
Yeah, talk to me then about a client. Obviously, there's confidentiality there, but like, give me a hypothetical kind of client that you've seen ignoring the pain, suppressing the pain, or the emotional pain, I should say. What have you witnessed on their journey?
Um, I think there's a few people that come to mind, but in general, it's just this like have experienced a traumatic event early in their life. Um, and look, that traumatic event can be anything, but that's then manifested into a chronic pain condition, for example, like a lower back pain or something like that. Um, and then if you discuss that emotional side of that traumatic like situation, you can understand how that then relates to the pain that they're currently having in their adult life.
Yeah, absolutely. From the cases that I have seen with somebody who is at that peak performance, wanting to be the best, we call it like that, being the duck on the water, like they're showing up, they're being seen to do all the right things, and yet there's just this undercurrent of like push, 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 even the potential of imposter syndrome, but up, for the facade is like, no, I've got it together. And often you can take clients back to childhood events, which obviously this, whether it's, dads put pressure on them to be the best on the field, or there's been a divorce, or they got their reports, and it's sort of like, where's the A's, all of that side of things. And the child will take that so personally. And what I've noticed is that that's the moment when there's like these limiting decisions, limiting beliefs that are created about trusting support, asking for support, because it just, the heaviness of being criticized and judged can come on so harshly at such a young age. And if I may, that's where I've noticed that with clients who seek out a lot of different vitamins, vitamins represent support, vitamins represent, receiving and all of the, and they're in such a habitual pattern of like not receiving the support, not taking that on board, not trusting the support, doing it myself. And so then the body doesn't take on or get that optimum results within the vitamins. Like, have you seen that too in your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, it's that high reliance on those vitamins and supplements and all of the things. Um, and yeah, it's that, yeah, it's quite a strong link once you help them understand there is support there. That need for those vitamins and supplements and all of the other things just kind of drops away that little bit more.
Yeah, yeah. And so then following on with that story, like, okay, so there's starting to trust themselves, starting to trust the support. Then it's like looking at the body and saying, isn't that interesting that I keep getting like the weight of the world, the responsibility on my shoulders, got to keep up, keep it together. And yet the muscles, this the bones is like, yeah, I can't keep just taking on board without, yeah, without something to give. Again, do you want to talk about that with what you've noticed with clients with that reoccurring shoulder pain or back pain?
Yeah, it's like it's just so prominent, like especially because people are so caught up in the stress of what's going on or anything like that, and they're using that those whatever it is as a mask or just a way to get through. Again, for better or for worse, it's just a way to get through. And then once you kind of okay that and then discuss what's going on, work through that muscle pain, it's quite amazing, like the change that happens.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, so then even the pressure of, as you say, the cost of living and all of that is like, no, the more you engage in that pressure, the more the body gets tight. So it's like, actually, I need a different mindset. I need a different approach. And then it's interesting, right? Is when life actually starts to get easier when you're not living through that lens of pressure, fear, imposter syndrome.
Yeah, 100%. You need that like circuit breaker.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And that's, I heard you use that word earlier with the link between the nutrition, the body, the mind. It's like, yeah, where's the circuit breaker? Like if it's on if it's on the foot on the brake, the foot on the accelerator all at once, we need the circuit breaker. Like this is not working.
Yeah.
So then, Erin, I know from our journey within coaching that you are at an exciting to move from the one-on-one space into the groups. Is that about right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so much scope to help so many people and not just in a manual therapy way. So I think groups is that great opportunity to be able to put that out there.
What out there though, Erin? Give me some more detail.
I think teaching people all those things I'm passionate about, that learning to understand their bodies, that link between what's happening in life and what's happening in their bodies. Um, and then being able to stop and just breathe and listen to what's happening within your
Yeah.
body.
When you think about these groups, when like I get that picture, that whole audience, everyone's listening, Erin's talking, we've got to hear what she's got to say. That ultimate message, what is that number one thing that you want people to know?
Um, I think Your body is always telling you what's wrong. You just have to listen. And that living in pain, living in discomfort, living with dysfunction is just, it's not normal. It's not okay. Because your body will tell you what's going on.
Yeah. I heard you say that the body will tell you what's going wrong. Does the body also tell us then what's going right?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, tell me the recipe to get the body to do what's right, Erin.
I think you just have to notice what feels good, right? And like if it feels good, not just in your body, but you breathe a bit easier, it feels a bit calmer. I think you just need to keep doing more of that, right?
Yeah, it's so simple and yet we make it so complicated. Obviously, you got to listen to the body first, you know what you want to know what you do want. But I imagine then that's the ultimate message for people is to, yeah, to move beyond the pain, the
Yeah.
dysfunction, to live in alignment. My truth is that anytime that you are in pain or ill or all of the things, you are well and truly out of alignment. There is something here where, whether you want to call it your ego, your shadow self, something is, I mean, that's that definition of suffering, that you are going against, what is going, wanting it to be something else, the expectations, the pressure. And so, yeah, so at some point you actually have to heal those aspects of yourself to then, yeah, get back into alignment, feel good. Yeah, and this is the message that people need in this day and age. As you said, the cost of living and everything else there, Erin. So,
Yeah.
yeah, do you want to elaborate on that?
No, it's absolutely true. Like, I think it's so easy to say, as I said, you just do more of what feels good, right? But there is so much happening and there is so much to unpack. Um, that's a really, it's an easy thing to say, but it's a hard thing to do by yourself.
Yes, yeah, and that's exactly why you would step into that group setting for people not just to hear your message, but in the group going, yeah, I'm not alone. So beneficial. Because I imagine sometimes people talk about affirmations and just be strong, tell yourself it's going to be all right. But even then, that creates resistance in the body because you're kind of lying to yourself. So it's not just okay, breathe, meditate, eat well. There really is checking in and giving the attention to, yeah, to the aches and pains, I guess. So, Erin, going from the one-on-one chapter to moving into groups, I'm curious from you, what does that look like or feel like or sound like to have that kind of audience?
Um, Quite frankly, scary, but exciting. Um, yeah, I think, yeah, we've definitely worked through some stuff with our journey together, but it's pretty scary to be like, I have a message that people need to hear and that needs to come across, but getting that across is quite intimidating.
Yeah. When I've observed how dedicated you are to your studies, to having the answers, the solutions, I imagine that your one-on-one clients absolutely reap the reward of that. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. And they're the first to have my back. Like anytime I've brought up group coaching or whatever, they're the first to be like, yes, well, obviously. Um, and so they constantly have my back. Yep, like great message or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah. And so with the visual that I've got of the detail that you've put into your study, how much do you think you're putting into, start again, for my own journey, when I was building up my business, the one-on-ones, and just go, 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 and being that perfectionist, giving all that I could. And then when somebody had said, okay, group coaching and or group training, teach NLP, and I was like, there is no way that I can put that much time, attention, dedication that I do one-on-one into a group of everybody all at once. And so what I noticed for myself was that the unconscious mind saw that enormous amount of workload, pretty much checked out at the beginning, and it was like, that's not going to pay off. Like I'm just going to do burnout at that level. Can you relate to that kind of panic or
100%. There is that like sense of overwhelm because you also want to put out because it's so you're so passionate about it. You also want to make sure it's perfect, right? Because perfectionist. And you want to put that level in there and you work so hard for your like individual clients. The idea of putting that out there for a group is, yeah, really overwhelming.
yeah. Would you would you say then that your body, when looking at that group thing or the group project, I should say, did a level of like burnout or fatigue just at the idea of thinking about it?
Yeah, yeah. Although I'm excited and it feels good and I know it's
Yeah.
right, it just goes a bit whew, like, wow.
Imagine then with the sports people that you've worked with, that peak performance to get to running that half marathon, and then it's like, okay, we'll do that again for a full marathon. But the truth is that the strategy actually has to change. What did you notice within your clients that, they go for one goal and then they go for the bigger goal? What has to change for them?
I think a mindset change is the biggest. Um, it's not just you just whether it's going from half marathon to marathon for me, going from individuals to group, you can't just keep pushing. Like it's just that's not the solution. Um, Although that's your like fallback, you're naturally going to want to just be like, I'll just work harder. But that's actually not the solution.
Yes, and I used to be very angry at the people who would use that just word at me when I had the questions, and the questions weren't up to the answers. Like, okay, so how do you, and well, you just set a date or you just, and I'm like, yeah, that's the practical, but what goes on underneath that? And what I was not saying was exactly what you've articulated. I'm terrified, I'm overwhelmed. Help me address the fear. I can do the things, but like what's underneath that?
Yeah, 100%. Even right down to I'm, although shy and reluctant, I'm confident I can speak in front of a group of people. But again, that fear sits there and that, like, yeah, it all of the things.
So we'll get there. I'll start coaching that out of you a little bit. But the next piece that I wanted to highlight was for our listeners is that this is absolutely different for that person who wants to manifest in their first 100 grand in their coaching business or whatever it is. And then it's like, okay, but now if I want to manifest in 200 grand or 500,000 or whatever it is, there's an expectation that the detail and the pace, and it's actually wrong. The strategy that got you to do first 100K is not the strategy to do for the next big chapter. And in fact, it's going to be your greatest limitation if you fall back on the old strategy. It's a different goal. How does that fit in for you, Erinn? Like, not that we're talking about monies per se, but what comes up for you as we unpack this?
Yeah, like it makes sense, right? Again, it all though those same strategies aren't going to work. But it's again, it's also that level of overwhelm and strategy. Like they're fine-honed skills that I've learned. Like I have to throw that out and start again. Like, what do you mean? Um, but it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a difference between that peak performance versus like that functional performance. Like there's a whole identity shift in, but I'm the one who gets it perfect versus group, and they're like, oh. And of course, the group side of things, a lot of the responsibility gets put onto the student to put the pieces together rather than you providing the answers. It's a very different dynamic. So with this, before I go on too much further, do you have any questions or any ahas or anything that's coming up?
No, no, quite interesting, but no, nothing at this stage.
And then the other thing to keep in mind with moving towards the group side of things is a lot of us healers, whether you're a doctor, myotherapist, chiro, Reiki person, a lot of us healers have been trained from a young age to be a natural giver. We do not like people to be uncomfortable in our company. We often people please, be the person to help. And even when we were little, we would be the person making mum a sandwich or doing something, before she'd even asked for it. So we have that. Would you agree, Erinn? We have that fine-tuned skill of like scanning the room. What do you need? What do you need? What do
Yeah, absolutely. You have that innate ability to just be like, well, that's what you need, and it's there before. And actually, as you were saying, it's probably that reluctance to move towards group training, people taking responsibility for their own health and wellness that probably terrifies me because I'm like, but I'll just do it for you. Because that's what we're naturally like, yeah.
you? And so that's where that coaching comes in, right? That's what I was talking about before when people would and you're just like, I can't override that instinct. I don't know what you're talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
I laugh, but yeah, it can be quite overwhelming. And the what I noticed was the way that the body shows up is that people pleasing, and then the resentment starts to come in, and the resentment can show up in things like brain fog, candida, thrush. Like the resentment starts to sit there, and it's like the body and the mind says you cannot keep operating the way that you were when you were little. You've got to actually, something has to change. You have to start recognizing that obligating yourself to fix, taking it on board, all of that fatigue will kick in. A coach had said to me, which gave me this massive aha, Erinn, was that resentment is actually telling you it's time to grow instead of that resentment being the thing that you have to fix. I'd spent years trying to fix the resentment so I could give more, show up more. And then a coach said, no, that means that you now have to like go train. You now have to go. And I'm like, oh, and I'm wondering if you can relate to that, where it's like, yeah, the universe is saying it's time to start a new chapter.
100%. And like personally and professionally, like you can feel it. And yeah, I'm like, I still love what I do. Don't get me wrong, but it's time for that growth.
Yeah, for your growth, because you're there
Yeah.
helping other people grow, and it's like, yeah, now let's take on that challenge, which is the same as those marathon people that you work with, the sports people. Like, yeah, let's take on the next challenge.
Yeah.
Get me to the moon. So, if we pivot for a second there and check in with you, going more into a coaching mode, what is a positive when you think about work, thinking about the type of service you provide? What is a positive quality that you approve of about yourself, Erinn?
Um, I love how easy I find it to build rapport and have conversations with people and learn about their lives.
Yeah, yeah. How do you know when you've got this quality, this rapport, the connection? How do you know when you've got that?
Um, you almost see people's body go and relax. It's like they've got this safe space to be them.
Yeah. Would you say then that that's one of your natural skills, which I already articulated at the beginning, was to create that safety, that comfort, the relaxation place? It's like it's almost just being in your company. You don't even have to put hands on the body. It's sort of like, yeah, just being in your company puts people at ease. It's like the world doesn't often provide that kind of safety.
Yeah, and I don't think I actually, to be perfectly honest, I don't think I realized it until the last 6 months.
When you think about that quality, being able to create that safety, that connection with people, how does that fit into the group coaching? Or I'm saying group coaching, but it could be workshops, it could be masterminds. How does that quality of creating that safety and that connection fit in with the next chapter for you?
I think it's critical. I think it's hard to build rapport on a bigger audience,
Mm.
but I think holding that space and having that group where you said people aren't alone, I think that is it's critical. You have to have it.
Yeah, okay. I could challenge you all sorts of different ways with that one. I want to sidestep and check in. Has there been clients where you didn't observe their body relax into that safety?
Yes, yeah.
And when you think about a client who did relax into the safety and a client who didn't, what difference did that make for you?
Um, you automatically just get better treatment results with people that relax into it, and like they long term will get better results than the person that is quote unquote fighting you. Like it, yeah, if they're relaxed in your company, it's easier to get better treatment results.
Yes, okay, okay. So with this emphasis on getting results, what are the type of results you would actually expect your clients to get, one-on-one or in group? What are the results that you're achieving? Because let me tell you why I'll sound absolutely ridiculous. The results of going to a chocolate shop and is like, yeah, the results are that you're going to feel happy, you're going to eat lots of chocolate, like it's going to be the best experience ever. But going to my therapist, is that what we want? We want the high vibe, sugar high, or like what are the results that we're after?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think you want to naturally feel more relaxed, more calm. You want to be less pain or dysfunction.
Yes.
Um, and but what I perceive as good treatment outcomes and what my clients perceive are probably two different things.
Yeah, that would be a fascinating question to ask. Like, do you actually ask the clients, like, okay, from today's session, what are the type of results you want to achieve?
It's not something I blatantly ask. It's definitely a conversation that we probably dance around.
Yeah.
It's not a blatant question, but it actually makes complete sense. Like, and you can, again, from having that conversation at the end, you have that little bit of a conversation that they're really happy, but I'm still like, oh, there could have been a bit more.
Yeah, that peak performance piece is shining through.
Yes.
You're going for the best. And that's the thing, right? Is the best versus your standards and expectations versus somebody else's. Yeah, it could be quite fascinating. I know within my coaching on my questionnaire deliberately, like, do you want me to be direct? Do you need me to be gentle? And I will have the client tell me where they're up to. I'll play at either level. And so, yeah, it's fascinating, right? When you start to ask the other person, okay, what do you need? What do you want? And meeting somewhere in the middle there. Does that fit in with your style of work?
Yeah, I think I probably attract those people that are a bit more happy with my bluntness. But I think, yeah, you do. You definitely adapt person to person and
So
what they
I'm
need.
curious. I'm curious, Erin, when when do you feel safe?
Um, I think that's probably changed in recent times. I think I probably feel safe within myself now. Um, and at work, I feel safe at work.
Yeah. Talk to me about the safety within, the qualities, how that shows up.
Um, Ironically, I think I've learned to understand my body better. Um, and actually listen to it and recognize that a lot of the things I was looking for externally actually happened within me.
Talk to me more about that.
So things like that support, that validation, um,
Yeah.
that even just connection, um, all of those things I was actually providing myself. I just don't think I recognized it.
Yeah. Can you see that then in your clients about pushing themselves for that validation, pushing themselves to fit into whatever nest to get that support? Like, do you see that?
Yeah, absolutely. And like, not everyone, obviously, but yeah, there's definitely that proportion that exactly mirror that what I was going through.
Yeah. I'm curious, how do you feel about us unpacking it like this?
Um, I'm excited and wary, but excited.
For me, what I'm observing is that a client could walk in your door or a group could walk in the door, they could see your resume, they could say, okay, there's nutrition, there's myotherapy, there's NLP, things. And with that beautiful canvas that you've created, it could actually be quite overwhelming to know, okay, what am I here for? And it's like all the things. But the truth is, from what I've heard you say, is one of the most important things is to come back to that connection to self, the safety to self, the support to self, the validation for self, and almost having that discernment on why somebody would push themselves so hard. Are you pushing so hard for your own sense of achievement and excitement, or are you pushing hard because there's that thing outside of you that you may or may not get? How does that fit in now with your idea about group coaching?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I hadn't considered how overwhelming it would be for someone else. Like it is for me. Of course, that would be overwhelming for someone else. Um, and yeah, it really more is about that connection and that safe place for people.
Yeah. Again, my observation is that you're the one who's gone to uni and done all the things, and then we come to you because you've got the cherry on the cake. Talking to a nutritionist, a cherry on the cake, the good stuff, the maple syrup on the pancakes. But for the type of client that you're working with, you're like, guys, I'll save you 8 years of uni. This is the thing. This is the strategy. Boom. When you hear it refined to that specific, is that let's check in with your body. Does that free up space to step into the group coaching or what comes up?
Oh, 100%. My body just went, oh yeah, of course. Like yes. Um, it just makes so much sense. I think again, naturally, I was overcomplicating it. And it really can just be that simple.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the difference between going to and I know I would have incorporated this in the NLP training, going to that master plumber who knows how to come into your home, tap on the pipes, is like, boom, and then the pipes all clean themselves, it's like that's the bit, versus going to the apprentice and they pull your kitchen apart and the tiles and the guts and the sludge, everything's going everywhere. And you pay for what you get for, you pay for what you get in the sense that that master plumber has done countless years of expertise to save the other person a lot of hassle. And so a lot of the group coaching there has that emphasis on Erinn, just save us the hassle.
It's funny, I've used that analogy so often since I've heard it, but it's actually so true. People come into my clinic room and then we can take this to group coaching, but they come into my clinic room and what they've been seeing multiple people for, I'm like, oh yeah, but just do that. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And isn't it interesting that it's not necessarily you having the answers, but having the good questions?
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly what it is. As I said, that's what I've loved about NLP is that loosening people's model of the world is it's just so much easier to get to what's actually going on.
Yeah, it's all people will tell you, like the mask that you spoke about, they'll tell you what they want you to hear. And yet you're watching eye patterns, you're listening, watching the body language. I've made jokes about this in my recorded sessions, working with a chiropractor and a myotherapist, and I like to sit up straight on the camera, but I'm sure you're picking up on all sorts from my posture.
100% every time.
Oh, I'm not feeling vulnerable at all. But bringing it back to your group coaching side of things, I mean, we could go through a whole number of hours of detail, but how do you feel about now taking these points to the drawing board and organizing it?
Oh, it makes it so much easier. Um, we were talking about before, like mind mapping it out. It actually just takes away a lot of that fuss that sits between me and that mind map.
Yeah. 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 And I would recommend, even if you've got if you've got a whole lot of post-it notes, is reverse engineering, having the post-it note on the end result, the message, and then moving those post-it notes around on how to get them to get to that particular point, which you'll start to, yeah, pull off the wall, all of the noise about whatever, comes back to that strategy on listening to your body, the safety within. It's always with you. I mean, they're my words, not yours. But yeah, are you a post-it note kind of girl? Or are you going to get big butcher's paper on a
I'm
computer and it's
not.
all tidy and
I'm a butcher's paper, many colours, all of the textures.
love it?
Yeah.
So which goes to show that this particular group training could go, it could have different branches, right?
Absolutely. I think, yeah, there's a whole, I just, it blows my mind how many avenues it could be taken.
Yeah. And that's the fun of it. Is you've got your expertise behind you. Go create, go play. Don't take this too seriously. That's the other thing, right?
I think 100%. I think there is so much noise in the nutrition space, even the bio space. There is so much noise. You do have to just be lighthearted with it. And this is the message. This is good common sense advice. It's
Yeah.
just, you just have to be fun, have fun with it.
Yeah. 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 I would encourage that to people for people to approach it, as we said at the beginning, non-judgmental, open mind, curious to explore the answers, not necessarily making the answers so black and white. My my next question with I mean, yeah, but of course I want to go one step further. If you could have that, if you could have somebody give you this message, the message of like the safety is within, the relaxation, all you need to know is all within. If you had that message all the way before university, what difference would that have made?
Um, I don't think I would have pushed as hard. If, like, yeah, I'm undecided whether I'd still go to uni or not. I think it was kind of something I wanted to tick off my bucket list anyway, was I've got a degree. But I don't know that I would have put so much of an emphasis on it. Um, and I don't know that I would have put so much of an emphasis on keep getting like the certificate. I think I have the ability to find out the information I need to help people that I need.
Yeah, I mean, in the human world, you need that certificate to open doors. That's absolutely necessary in the work that you do.
Yeah.
Talk to me then about the pushing hard for those certificates or the degrees. If you weren't pushing hard, how would you have wanted to be doing it?
I just think I think I was trying to prove something in pushing as hard as I was pushing, and trying to be the best person for everyone. Um, I don't know that I really probably took myself into account, and so yeah, I don't. If I hadn't have been pushing as hard, I probably would have been more lighthearted and a bit calmer with my approach.
Yeah. So there was a level of seriousness. Obviously, there is that you were taking it seriously.
Yeah, like it was like the most important thing on the world that I got a HD. Like it really didn't have to be as dramatic as I probably made it out to be. And I didn't probably have to do quite as much as I did.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you see a correlation then with your clients pushing hard, proving themselves, needing to be the best?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's giving up those 1% things in life that in hindsight you probably don't really need to give up unless you are striving to be peak performance athletes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you wouldn't have had such an appreciation for where you're up now to now with the message that you're now delivering within the group coaching is the message that they don't get really early on when they're setting up the goal, the vision for themselves. That message that the answer is actually going to come within. give yourself permission to rest, recharge, relax, have ease in your body, that I'm pretty sure most people would have ignored that message. There has to be some point in time where somebody says, okay, there has to be, I draw a line in the sand. There has to be an easier way. I imagine you're now, instead of the one-on-ones, the group coach now gives you that space to talk to those people who want the more effective, easier way.
Yeah, I think when you are a duck, because that's the easiest way to explain it, when you are running a million miles an hour and you're getting everything done, you're doing all of the things, but internally your body is just, it's not time efficient, it's working hard, it's doing all the, you're getting sick constantly. I think, yeah, it just changes that message slightly.
Well, quickly talk to me about that. The sickness equal, stress equals sickness. Like, talk to me about how you would approach that.
Um, I think your stress always plays with your body. It always is going to manifest in your body in some way, shape, or form, whether that is through pain or sickness or anything. Um, and so taking that time to rest and recharge. But then understanding what is that sickness that constantly is happening and why is that sickness constantly happening, and then yeah, going from there.
Yeah, yeah. So in essence, the pushing, the proving to others. There's a real message here, Erin, about the external proving, pushing for external validation creates that illness, the dysfunction in the body, versus that internal listening to yourself, listening to do what's and of course there is that motivation. You have to go do the thing to be at the gym, to go motivate yourself. There is that first step, but to go to the gym because you want to, not because there's a number that your best friend's at and you need to beat it or something like that. That competition, the comparison, it's a way to erode your self-esteem.
Yeah, absolutely, without doubt. It's again, I think it comes back to doing what feels good for your body. And yes, don't get me wrong, like going to the gym, it's not an easy start, but once you understand how, like once you feel good within your body, that makes it, it becomes easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's this is the fun. This is the micro strategy right at the beginning. Your intention, why you're doing the thing, will dictate the results on what you're getting on the out, at the other end.
100%. And the language you use around that micro strategy, I think, will alter the result you get as well.
Well, my final question here, Erin, is how does that, the micro strategy on your intention, how does that translate to your group coaching?
Um, I think my intention's pretty clear now. I think I was probably a little bit wishy-washy about it. I think I'm pretty clear about my intention and it will definitely change the way that I then mind map it out. And yes,
Yeah.
we'll start backwards.
Yeah. Reverse engineer and be open to changing it, because I know from my own journey hosting retreats or spiritual groups, NLP coaching, training, tarot, all the different things, the group, your audience will dictate how that flows. And it's like, like that duck on the water, like, okay, isn't that interesting? And picking up on the feedback as you go along, right?
Yeah, 100%. And that's why you're so lighthearted about, because you're like, it's fine. We'll just change it up. No stress.
Yeah, yeah, that, I've got to say though, that part of the training side of things, even going to the gym, people want it to be easy. They want to attach those learnings to part of their identity. They are going to go through a level of discomfort because they're now doing something new that they haven't done before. And it's not that learning is hard, but adapting and changing to these new learnings means that the old identity now has to shift and collapse to allow the new. And that was one of my NLP trainers, Rick. He was known as the brain untrainer. It was like, collapse all of the things that you were told to do. As ridiculous as this sounds, hold your mum's hand when you cross a road. Okay, that's not your identity anymore. You're free to cross the road in this big world and, yeah, to change. So yeah, my recommendation is to be okay with people being uncomfortable as they learn that new chapter, which goes against one side of things.
It makes sense though, like you need that discomfort for growth, right? Um, because if you're comfortable, you're probably not going to change.
Yeah, yeah, and to have fun with the discomfort.
100%. Just take as it comes and enjoy it.
Oh, that was awesome. Thank you for that. Is there any final words or anything there you want to leave for our listeners?
Um, no, I don't think so.
Oh, listen to those bodies. Come back to yourself.
Yes. Yes. Listen to yourself, listen to your body.
Yeah, yeah. And so obviously these group coaching, the group work is not out there yet. But when I can put those details in the show notes, I absolutely will because you guys listening, you want to check out everything Erinn has to offer because it's a real journey of self-exploration to, yeah, come back to that true essence of you. So yeah, a very, very big thank you, Erinn. That time has absolutely flown, but I've enjoyed our conversation.
Me too. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Well, we'll leave it there and I will talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.